Look, she's running away.
I'm trying to get my sweatshirt cool.
Oh. Okay, so last week we left off with the sheepdogs. Do we know what their names were? Goodness and mercy. Hey, Claudia, get on the same page.
Wrong story.
So what were their jobs? They were to gather us in and keep us on track, right? And they chased us all the days of our lives. Poor Debbie, she's a limping. And we learned that there were no blackout days, right? His goodness and mercy follows us every day, which is good news. Because even I have blackout days, right? So we're on the last part of the verse, which is, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We've made it to the end of the psalm. 15 weeks later. 6 verses. It was a very, very good study. So to do a little review, I thought I kind of liked this little condensed version or rewritten version that Robert Morgan did. I put the list on your sheet. It says, beside me, my shepherd, beneath me, green pastures, near me, still waters, ahead of me, righteous paths, within me, restored spirits, against me, my enemies. For me, his rod and staff, around me, a tableland, upon me, anointing oil, above me, overflowing blessings, behind me, goodness and mercy, before me, my Father's house. That's a nice, yeah. That's what my language skills say it is. I may be wrong. We did that whole third person, second person a few weeks ago. We're really getting grammatical here. But I like that. It was a nice summary, just a reminder of how God is all around us, right? He's everywhere. I just love that. Yeah. Can't get away from it. That's what Psalm 139 said, right? Where can I go that your spirit is not there with me, right? Which is a blessing. Sometimes we don't like it because he knows everything. But it's a comfort because he is with us through everything. He's all around us. So where did we start this journey? We started on the home ranch in the spring in Bethlehem, right? Then we moved through the valley canyons up to the tablelands in Galilee. Up the Wadi Yeti cliffs. I don't know. I've renamed it. It's the land of the Yetis. The Wadi something or other. Anyway, and fought off the enemy along the way. We had the nasal flies that followed us in the summer. Yes, we spent our lovely summer meadows being chased by flies and other such bugs, the pests of life. And by fall, it was time to head back to the home ranch, back to Bethlehem, where winter has come. So we're back down in the warmer valley, right? You don't want to be up in the mountains in the snow with the sheep. You want to head back down. So that's where we're at. Winter is at hand. So we're heading home. So when we get to this verse, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, what do most of us think of? Heaven. Very good. Here in Psalm 23:6, David is thinking of heaven. So it's the cycle of life. It's just one of the many layers of this psalm. This whole psalm is the cycle of life. It's not only the cycle of the shepherd's journey, but it's the cycle of our life as well. And where do we want to end up? In heaven, right? So that's what David's thinking of here. Are you guys taking notes? Chase,
No, I'm
cheating?
writing something else, and I was going to confirm with her. Roddy, I told her it was with a D.
Oh, we're writing that. The Wadi Yeti Canyon. So in the Old Testament, the house of the Lord was a place where God dwelled among his people. That's when they thought of the temple or the tabernacle. That was where God dwelt. That's how you got together with God, right? So that's why when he says, go backwards here. I will dwell in the house of the Lord, right? He's thinking of heaven because he's going to be with God in the house of the Lord. There. Did you get all those?
Yes.
Before I erased them and made them disappear? And his final word, forever, in that verse is the other reason you realize he's thinking about heaven. It's not just a mention of the house of the Lord, speaking of God's dwelling, but it's also the forever. Where else could you go forever but to be with God, right? What? Is there a typo?
Dwelt.
God dwelled. No, but that's where he dwelled.
Wouldn't it be the same meaning?
I think
Dwelt or
so.
dwelled? It just depends on which version or something.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But dwelled is what you could say it either way, I'm sure. So let's read a verse about that. Revelation 21:3. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God. So that's the other reference to the house of the Lord. He's going to dwell with men. There's going to come a point where he's going to dwell with us permanently, right? I mean, as Christians, he's dwelling with us when we receive him as Savior, but this is going to be that presence that there'll be no denying, right, that he's there with us. Can't wait. It's going to be, I don't think we can ever figure it out or picture what it's really going to be like. I think it's going to
We have no idea what God's time is. You know,
no.
He created time just for us, so we can't
Right.
fathom
Yeah, we won't know what
eternity.
we won't know what it's going to be like. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to be amazing.
And dumb it down for us.
Yeah. We'd probably just forget anyway, right?
What? What?
We would just forget anyway. We're so forgetful.
I already forgot.
Yep. As a sheep, we will be in the presence of the Lord forever. That's what 21:3 is telling us. And this was on Jesus' mind in that last time period with his disciples in the upper room just before he was crucified. He starts talking to them about this time period in chapters 13 through 17 of the book of John. So if you read those 4 chapters, I guess that'd be 4 chapters, you'll see a lot of talk about our future with him and what that means. But I'm just going to take one section of verse, which is John 14:1-3, out of that whole passage. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, would have told you. Is that a typo?
I think there's an I somewhere there.
When it went off the screen.
Yeah, oh, I would have told you, right?
Yeah, I think so. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. So that's just one of the little set of verses out of that whole thing. But that's his reference to saying, my Father's house is in heaven. Right? In 14:2 is where you see that. When you read this passage, if you go back, what's it say in verse 2? In my Father's house are many mansions. You see his great love and generosity there. You notice he doesn't say we just have a little place to stay, a cot, a house, a tent. He says we have a mansion. That's very generous, isn't it? What?
That's more to clean.
You don't have to clean there. You don't have to clean there. It's not Kalinga.
It's gonna be perfect, clean all the time, right?
Yeah.
So long as
There's no sin. I think dirt's a sign of sin.
Mine says a room.
In most translations, it's a mansion. We'll have to look up the Greek for you.
Just remember it's in the song. That's what makes
Oh, that's the hymn. The hymn, yeah. That's over the Bible. That's right.
I don't care if it's a tough tent. I can set up a tent. Oh, I just want to get hung up to live by
I'm with
you.
you, Claudia. Kathy, thought that word was. I might not have anything more than a shadow.
Home?
But that's okay.
Yeah, well, I don't even care if I have a mansion. It's home. And it's going to be so wonderful, and I think we're going to be busy anyway. Oh, no. Your little ones moved out.
They've got their own mansion.
Yeah, so, you can keep a household. Once you kids moved out, my house stayed cleaner.
Mine did, I never did like
Oh,
I think the key word there is cleaner.
cleaner, yeah. Terry was still there, so that's the big issue. Yeah. But it's generous because in the translations, and I'm pretty sure when I was reading the different commentaries, it's mansion. It's not room. It's not small. It's generous. It's loving. Why would he? I mean, he could, but he loves us a lot. I would think he would want us to be blessed, comfortable, whatever. I don't think it would be just a hut in the corner, He's the king. Yeah. Well, it depends on if you're the good child or not.
the kid asks for a stone.
No, you can be any child, but you are a child.
Yeah, that's right. You're so smart, Lori. But, Jesus talked about this a lot. Another spot he talked about was in Luke 23:43. And Jesus said to him, "Assuredly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." Now, that's a different word, right? And it literally was paradise. He was using the word paradise. And paradise in the language it describes a beautiful garden, usually enclosed with stone walls, a place of privacy and lushness.
Nice.
So it's a nice place, whether it's a house or a mansion. It's a nice place.
Garden's weeds. The
Gosh.
weeds are the curse.
Oh, but you think about it, the garden is where we started.
Exactly.
So
That's
going
right.
back to his garden.
That's right. You have to think he designed that in the first place to be the place where we lived, but paradise was something. You think about the Babylonians, their walled, beautiful gardens they created. It was lush, it was secure until the Medes broke in, until they figured out a way to get in through the water source. But it's supposed to be a beautiful, secure place.
Well, Solomon also had
He had
special hanging gardens.
Yes, he had the hanging gardens
It was
too.
like miraculous how he did it. I don't know.
And see, that's a thing the rich and only the best people had, that place of security and beauty, and that's what we're going to now have, a place of beauty and security. That's something we lack a lot of, is security. We don't have financial security. We may think we do, but we don't, especially nowadays. We don't have financial security. Your houses in our cities, even in America now, we thought we were pretty secure in general, but even that's going down the tubes. There's not a lot of security even in America anymore. So there's a lot of issues. There's not security in our relationships. I mean, you used to count on families staying together, right? Being solid. There's no security in our family relationships anymore. So think about
Okay, Pollyanna. Move on.
Okay. My point is, looking to the future, in heaven, we have great security. All that is done with. All those things that were created by sin, those insecurities that we have in life are gone. We'll have a secured mansion to live in, blessed by God. That's beautiful. Someplace that's beautiful. God described it to this thief, that you're going to paradise. And here's a guy who's being punished, rightfully so. Not necessarily, I don't think he should be crucified. I don't agree with crucifying, but I'm saying he was being punished for his crimes. Right? So even he, with the life he's led, Jesus, because of the man's faith, he's going to get blessed with the same beauty we get blessed with, because he loves each and every one of us equally, right? So another time it was referred to was by Paul in 2 Corinthians 12, 3-4. And I know such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know, God knows, how he was caught up into paradise and heard inexpressible words which it is not lawful for a man to utter. Oh, I did get it all on one page. And then another one was John referred to it in Revelation 2:7. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, I will give to eat from the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. So this is a very beautiful, wonderful place. I just can't wait to see it. I just, you read some of the little descriptions here, and you just can't imagine what we have such a finite mind. We don't even truly know what full beauty is. We know what our concepts of beauty are, what we enjoy. We all have our favorite little paradises on earth that we like. For some, it might be the beach, right? Some people love certain places that they want to go to. For me, it was always Yosemite. I loved Yosemite. And I always have imagined since I was a teenager, because I've always looked forward to my future with God, my time in heaven. And I always imagined that my mansion included Yosemite, which is a weird little thing, but it was something that gave me hope when I was a kid, and I just have always clung on to it. I just love the beauty of Yosemite. I was always spoiled by getting to be there when I was a kid, so I wanted that to be my future. But I enjoy other places, but that was for me, my little paradise, my special place, and of course I'd want it to be the perfect temperature, and none of the environmental problems that are going on, none of the burns and things like that have happened. But it's almost like you want your future. I've also envisioned, how you see, like, for those of you Star Trek fans, the holodeck on the Next Generation show, they could go in there and it would be whatever they wanted it to be.
I love that section.
Fantasy come to reality, and so you think, well, what would be your perfect heaven? What would you design it to be? But, that was for me. That's what I did. So in Revelation chapter 21 and 22, if you take time to read them in your spare time, John describes the beautiful city of God that's coming, that we'll be living in, that we'll be a part of, where we'll get to dwell with God. And then there'll become the eventual wiping out of the earth and the heavens, and a brand new earth and heavens made. I can't imagine, what is that going to be like? See, we've only known a sinful earth, an earth racked with problems, weeds. We don't have the weeds. Our lush garden will have no weeds. Yay. That would be nice, not to have to do weeds.
I've often wondered when it says even nature groans under the
Yes.
earth, and I often think, leaves falling and dying. Yeah, it's.
Oh yeah, like the eternal leaves stay on the tree. Yeah, I just saw today, I don't know where I've been lately, the last 86 days, but I guess Spain has had a volcano erupting for 86 days.
Oh, wow.
Did any of you hear that report? I missed that one somewhere in the...
Well, Malaysia also had the same thing happened. They had an eruption.
Mhm.
That happened.
Oh, I think I did hear about this one, but I didn't know. 86 days, Spain has been under ashfall and lava.
Oh, really?
Yes, and they're showing it. The cars are wheel deep in ash. Wheel deep in ash, and they're pushing the ashes off the roofs. I don't even know how they're living. How do you breathe? So,
There was an island too. That was it an island?
The island was a volcano?
it might be the Malaysia one.
There was another one, or I think another one going on too.
And Hawaii's been bubbling a lot lately, but that 86 days, like, boy, I must be asleep at the wheel. I totally missed that.
I didn't hear that either.
I saw the films of it today, and I was like, wow, okay.
That ash, wasn't volcanic ash real acidic?
I don't know. I don't know how they're healthily living there. I don't. And they just went through a lot of that in South America. But see, I see that as the groaning. The earth is groaning and coming out that way.
Getting to the end.
Yeah, the earthquakes and anyway, so that future that's coming for us is going to be beautiful. We just can't imagine. I know you've heard this before, but it's just something to really focus on, because there's a lot of things going on in each of our lives. And I know during some of my tough spots in life, I even went through a rough spell at like 18 or 19. And I was looking for my future because it gave me hope. It gave me something to even pretend, to imagine, what would it be like, to think about, to change my focus. Oh, I wonder if it would be like this. And it just kind of uplifted my spirits. Although I know I could never.
Little did you know it's coming.
Yeah, right.
Your dream future.
You just don't know where you're gonna end up in life or what you're gonna deal with. But thinking on those things. So when you're feeling discouraged or have a lot of stress, or take time to sit and read some of those passages in the Bible. Read Revelation 21 and 22. Read the end of the book. Yeah, because we win. And just to see what our future's like. No more sickness and pain, and just beauty all around us. Just beauty. It's more encouraging than what we see here. The sadness, the strife, the tornadoes. I feel for those people. So the new Jerusalem, the new heavens, and the new earth will be sinless. Yay. That's what our problems are. And beautiful. And the city is going to be a beautiful place, and we're just going to read, when you finish, fill in the blanks, a couple of verses out of that, Revelation 21. I don't think we could, I can't imagine sinless. It's just like, I know I do stuff every day that's not right, and then the stuff that you see in the world that other people are doing that's a result of sin. Can you imagine a place that's sinless? Just, I'm not making any more sins. What an amazing thought. Doesn't seem possible. Revelation 21, 10 through 11. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. That's the best thing. Having the glory of God. Her light was like a most precious stone, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. And this is just a tiny description of what's said in that passage. Beautiful, just amazing. The foundations are each a different stone, a beautiful stone. I mean, just mind-blowing when you think about how beautiful we think, our diamond is beautiful just looking at a little one, but a whole foundation that would be a diamond. And just all the beautiful stones that there are. So New Jerusalem is glittering like a jewel, translucent and luminescent in beauty.
Wow.
Like those big words for tonight?
Uh-huh.
Spelling test.
I can't spell shepherd.
So try luminescent. It's going to be bright and shiny. So if you'd like to condense it, you can. If you want to use
Bright and shiny and beauty.
little words like bright, shiny, and pretty. And for Tegan, cute. It's going to be cute.
Is that her word du jour?
She doesn't like that word.
Oh, she doesn't like it.
Yes, Miss.
There's a song that the Hoppers sing as a gospel group
Uh-huh.
called Jerusalem, and I want to play it at my funeral.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, it is all about we are going. Oh my gosh, we are going to Jerusalem. It's just so uplifting and wonderful.
Encourages you, see
And,
it?
and it does. Every time I hear that, I just thank God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about, heaven. It's just going to be great, but New Jerusalem's even greater.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
The best thing about it is that God's there, which is the other factor that we can't even totally fathom. We can't totally get what it's going to be like to be right there with Him.
This earth is like a shadow.
Yeah.
In a shadow, there's no light. There's no definition.
Yeah, it's blurry. Yeah.
It's like, so that's the best that we can do here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna be so, it's just too much to even.
Mm-hmm. Gonna blow our minds. Just gonna be amazing. So, as we learned in the Psalm, you're supposed to be traveling a righteous path through life, right? That's our focus. We're supposed to be traveling on righteous paths. That's a kind of a tough thing to fulfill sometimes. But that's our goal. So as we travel with the Good Shepherd on our righteous paths through life, to help keep you focused, focus on these things. Focus on your future. Think of things in future tense. You know, the things you do are affecting your future. And we're not even getting into all that in this lesson, but the way you live your life now has an effect on your future. So try to stay on those righteous paths and just center your eyes on what beautiful things lie ahead to help keep you working towards that direction. Hebrews 13 through 16 says, "Therefore let us go forth to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek the one to come. Therefore by him let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to God, that is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. But do not forget to do good and to share, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased." So our future focus will inspire us to share the good news so others can be added to the flock of the Good Shepherd.
That's a really good way to end.
I was just thinking that too.
Wait, I got one more sentence.
Oh,
But you're right.
But that's a great ending.
It is basically the ending, because the point is you are looking forward to that forever in heaven with our God in that beautiful place. You should want others to be there. And I remember some preacher at some point, mean as he was, said we're selfish when we try to keep all that good news to ourselves. You know, we get afraid to share because we're nervous to share, you know, because we don't want rejection or whatever may be going on. But it's almost like being selfish because you're worried about your own feelings, but yet you're holding back or possibly keeping that person from heaven, from enjoying that same future you're going to enjoy. So if you get to enjoy it, don't you want others to enjoy it? So if you focus on your future, that might help you share more. And so I was going to suggest you've hopefully have learned a lot of neat things in the 23rd Psalm, right? And a lot of people are very familiar with the 23rd Psalm because it's been used for years for funerals, someone dying. You know, it's just one of the common passages of the Bible. In movies, yeah. I mean, it's the 23rd Psalm because they focus on this last verse. You know, they think the whole Psalm is just about death. You know, your great turn, you're getting to go to heaven. But the great things you've learned about how much the Good Shepherd loves you and cares about you and how much he does for you might be a good springboard, since people are familiar with the 23rd Psalm, that you can use it in witnessing to people. That you could take some of the little things you've learned in the study and work them into a conversation at some point, you know, because people are familiar with that passage. And then, you know, the whole hope of heaven at the end of it, which is a great way. So, share using the 23rd Psalm. That's the final ending. Close. Close. So, I have one more thing for you, whether you want it or not.